All right, while we keep waiting, I just want to thank everyone for their patience. Oh, I see that we have the senator here.
Hello,
Excellent.
hello. Sorry, thank you for waiting. A little technical difficulty. You know how that goes. And
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's
Zoom
our
world.
pleasure. It's our pleasure. You are the woman of the hour, and we're happy to have you here.
Well, glad to hear that. And hopefully the weather's better there than here. We're freezing.
Oh goodness, yes. At least here in Reno, we can't complain. We've had a couple days of some absolutely beautiful weather, so we're thrilled. And of course, we had a huge snowstorm a couple weeks ago, so we're getting
Nice.
that much needed snowpack, of course, while still enjoying some beautiful Nevada sunshine.
Like it. That's the best part about Nevada. You can have snow up there and sunshine down here.
Absolutely, I could
Snow
not
for
agree
Lake
more.
Tahoe, sunshine down in the.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Well,
perfect.
thank you again, Senator, for joining us today. We again appreciate the fact that it's got to be an incredibly busy time for you in light of events of the last month, events that are forthcoming tomorrow. So thank you so much for carving out a bit of time to meet with us today, to meet with your chamber constituents here. Unless you have some comments you'd like to make here at the top of the call, we can just go ahead and get started on our conversation.
Well, I'd like to make just some comments about
Of
what we've
course.
done last Congress, what we're going to do a little bit this Congress, and then we can just go into conversation. How's that?
Absolutely.
So, of course, thank you for being here. I hope you're all safe and healthy, and we're going to navigate this pandemic this year, I know we're going to talk about that, but it's important that you stay safe and healthy. Don't let your guard down, and we're going to get through this together. And of course, Reno+Sparks Chamber, thank you for hosting. As always, I've been able not just partner, not just with you guys, but with chambers up and down the state. We have, of course, all of them. We have amazing groups of individuals working within their communities to help their small businesses. And of course, each small business is also families and families who work there, part of the community, your friends. And so it's just really, it just helps move us all forward again as we go through the pandemic. And I want to highlight one of the things at the top of the crisis, just to remind you all. Of course, I'm the only member on the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee and the whole federal delegation. And so I wanted everyone to know that we were here to help. And of course, there's other folks have done this as well, but we launched a bilingual COVID portal. We sometimes, I think at the beginning, right, Alejandro, we were updating it constantly as news was coming to us about SBA loans and the PPP and EIDL and the removal of the restriction on gaming to get your SBA loan. And so we created a special small business email. It's smallbusiness@rosen.senate.gov. I'm going to just give that plug for it. We've actually ourselves helped over 1,200 or so small businesses. Of course, we partnered with Joe Amato, who, I don't know what number he's on of his webinars. We've been on, I don't know, 12, 20, a million. We've been on as everyone we could be on with him. I think he was on one. He was on multiple, I think, every day. I think he's well over 100, maybe on his way to 150. And so I just want to give that plug. We still have that portal open. We're still updating it. We still have that email. So let your folks know about it because that puts it right to a separate place that doesn't go in our general email, and we can get your question answered or help, whatever it is that you need. So it's smallbusiness@rosen.senate.gov. We'll have Alejandro I'll put that up there. I also want to say that I've had a chance to talk with the new administrator designee. I guess it's going to be easier when we get to call her administrator of the SBA, but Mrs. Guzman. And Mrs. Guzman is really terrific. I had conveyed with her a lot of things about Nevada. And of course, if you know anything about her, she has a great resume. She has a great heart. And she's going to jump right in and do a terrific job. And some of the things that we're going to be working on, you see us working on those Votorama and the next COVID package, all the stuff that you're hearing, but we're going to make sure that we continue to lead that charge like I did before, to be sure that even if you get revenue from gaming, you can get your PPP. We're going to be sure that we remove those restrictions from the EIDL advance grants and the EIDL loans. We're going to be sure that they're funded. We're going to be sure that they are, that there's different tranches. So our community development financial institutions, our minority businesses, women-owned businesses, that we don't, it doesn't get, small businesses 500 and under, but there's maybe the 25 and under, much different than someone who has 400 employees, and their resources and their ability to get help or just even have the person on staff. And then lastly, I'm just going to talk real quickly, then we'll take questions. It's something I'm really excited that I introduced in December. And of course, we've just reintroduced it. It's called the Fresh Air for Business Act. And so, as we go through COVID, we know we're going to get vaccinated. We're going to talk about that, and that's going to be moving up. I know that's something I'll talk a little bit more about, but also we have to think about, we want to get everybody shopping and drinking coffee and getting their dog, hey, for women, getting our hair cut, so important, but all of those things is not to make light of any of it. And so I want to be sure that those small businesses have the resources to upgrade their ventilation, their HVAC, to build that consumer confidence to go back indoors. I have the vaccine, and my hair salon, for the sake of argument, has upgraded, and they have all the newest HVAC. We've learned lots about HVAC, airflow, and filtration. But we want to give them a giveability with tax credits, other kinds of incentives. We can send you the bill. That's another piece for you to feel confident as we begin to do that and return back up to our lives, because we want to make our spaces as safe as we can. Because I don't know about all of you, but I love to go out for coffee. I love to have a glass of wine with my girlfriends. I love getting my hair cut. I love shopping. I mean, besides being I'm a regular person, and just like everybody else, we want to go do those things, and I want to help our businesses do all of that. And so I just want to give that little overview. We'll go into it in depth, but just in case we don't have a chance to touch on all of it, that's some of the things that we are working on, and then we can kind of just go from there. So now I guess we can have our conversation. So thanks for listening.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Senator. I know that, our office here, we have a small but mighty team. There are 3 full-time staff here at the chamber.
Right.
And our job one throughout this pandemic has been connecting folks to resources. And so I specifically appreciate the fact that your office has had the same goal, to provide resources specifically to the small and medium-sized business community, which makes up, so many of your constituents and also so many of our members. And so
did you introduce, before I came on, Nettie and Alejandro from my team, Rosen, that they are, Nettie, of course, you'll see her all around Northern Nevada. She's deployed in the state. She does that. Alejandro's here in Washington. But together they talk and make the magic happen so we can do good. They turn your stories into legislation. That's how it works. So I want to be sure, Nettie, you can wave. Alejandro, you can wave. Team Rosen there. Nicole, you see Nicole. Nicole is actually from Sparks, although she's here with me in Washington. And she helped me make the magic of Zoom happen, which is why you see her on the screen as well, because she gives me that great tech support I need. It's always sometimes a little challenging on some of these.
Oh, absolutely.
we all
share
have
those
a backup.
challenges now.
I have a backup and a laptop. We've had things go out where we've had to swap one in for the other. And so we always have a backup, and that's how we play it safe. So I get to do what I need to do.
Fantastic. I love it. And thank you so much for introducing us to your team as well. And I encourage you, put your contact information in chat so that our members can reach you. We would absolutely love to keep those lines of communication open, since we we know there's so much you're doing on behalf of our small businesses and our members. So thank you once again. So, I'm probably going to skip around in terms of our
Sure.
prepared questions since, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Fine. That's all good.
All right. And also just an invitation, as always, to folks who are on the call, any members who have a question for the senator, if something piques your interest, please go ahead and use chat. We ask everyone to stay muted just for ease of communication and ease of being able to hear the senator's responses and hear the questions posed in the most clear way possible. But please, this is an open door for questions, so please feel free to use chat. So we'll go ahead and just go right into COVID-19 response, since that for so many folks is top of mind. And of course, among all the issues that are top of mind, the vaccine is probably the top of mind. So can you tell us a little bit about how federal response with the vaccine is changing and what we can expect to see in Nevada in the coming weeks?
So that's a great question, and it is on the top of every person in America's mind. I can guarantee you, no matter where they live, this is the number one thing people are worried about. So what I can tell you, President Biden's been in since January 20th. What's that? Not quite 3 weeks, but the first thing he did, when you hear him say he invoked the Defense Production Act, what does that really mean? It means that now we have, this was an act that was created in World War II to allow the president to ramp up on a national level, to ask our factories, resources, whatever they are, to ramp up in an effort to help the entire United States. In World War II, it was the war effort, but we're at war now, we're at war with the virus. And so when he invoked the DPA, that means that for all those folks, let's say you have 200 million people that need 2 shots. So that's 400 million shots. Now you're giving a lot of shots regularly anyway. So now you have to have 400 million syringes, 400 million of those little glass vials and labels and boxes and transport. You think about all the things. So he invoked the Defense Production Act to ramp up production of all of it. And then he's working with each governor, because every state is a little bit different on what they need to distribute the vaccine. So of course, California is going to look a lot different than Nevada, but what I can tell you is that the formulas will be equitable. Everyone, we're going to make sure Nevada gets its fair share, but we've seen the formulas, we dug deep. It's just basically based on percentages of population. And so as the vaccines keep coming off, we'll keep getting that our portion. The other piece is I'm always talking to the governor, as is the rest of the federal delegation. We have group calls. It's not just me, Catherine, and the congressionals. If you need freezer space, storage space, if the governor, whatever the governor might need to get it out, we're always talking to the governor to be sure that, like I said, every state is going to be a little bit different how they distribute it based on their population, where they live, how hard or easy it is to get there. Maybe with winter, there's more challenges, certainly in northern Minnesota, than there might be in southern Nevada, right, where it's, no snow or ice. Of course, it did snow a couple of weeks ago on the Las Vegas Strip, but, and so that's where we're at. And so more and more vaccines coming off, getting distributed equitably. I think it's the president's goal is to have at least 1 million shots a day for the next 100 days. Some people think we're going to be able to exceed that goal. Some of it depends on how fast the factories can make that many more syringes. And you just have to create them. They just didn't exist. 400 million new syringes, and so some of that it just takes a little bit of time, but we're firing on all cylinders now. And I think that they've seen overall in some of the places where people have been getting vaccinated that the rates of hospitalizations and severe illness are coming down, rates of transmission. So we'll be more people get vaccinated. Hopefully the other things begin to come down and we get to go back to life. So that's what you can look forward to. And it's just a matter of how quickly we can get it out there. And like I said, we'll keep reporting on that. Hopefully we'll get more than 1 million a day for the next 100 days. That's what some people are hoping for. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for that update. I know that there's so many factors dovetailing together in order to make this vaccine effort successful. And, hopefully, the fact that a couple more vaccines will come online for distribution soon will dovetail with those that are already being massively produced. And that will dovetail with, PODs, points of distribution, pods, in order to make sure this effort continues to run as
We're going in the right direction. We have a national plan. It's equitable. It's not one city against another city. It's not one state against another state, one county. It's state by state, population distributed, and then we'll just move it around. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Great. Thank you so much. It's good to have some good news. Here. So moving to the COVID-19 relief package, I would love to hear some of your feedback, some of your response to President Biden's proposed COVID-19 relief package, specifically whether or not you find the relief to be targeted in an efficient and an equitable way. What relief looks like for small and medium-sized businesses in particular, and even your thoughts on the individual stimulus check amounts, whether or not you think that's something that is going to be tenable for the Senate and for the American people.
Well, I'll tell you, as you saw, we started voting on some of the things to set us up to pass that package last Thursday. We think we spent about 15 hours working on things. But I think that the proposal that the president has put forward is a good one. One of the things that he's put forward is that extra $1,400 stimulus check per person. And what that does is when you give somebody a check right to them, that means they can spend it right away in their community on what they need. Do they need groceries? Do they need to pay their rent? Do they need medicine? Do they need some more technology for their kids who are going to online school? Whatever it is, so it's spent right on what each family needs right there at home. And so that also, it seems like we're spending the money, but it also provides not just a safety and security net, but sometimes a stimulus, because people are spending it then right where they live and work. And so some of the things for small business, we've got to have that continue to keep our PPP loans. We have to be sure that those EIDL advance grants that were supposed to be $10,000, the last administration only gave them a $1,000 cap or $1,000 per employee. It hurt some small businesses. That wasn't our intention. It was the intention to give everyone those $10,000 grants. The EIDL advance, they also put some arbitrary caps on that, which depending on, it might have been fine for a smaller business, but if you were one of those businesses with 200 employees or over, it wasn't quite enough. So we want to be sure that any of the arbitrary caps are removed and that the money is put where we need to. Because like I said about the vaccine, as all that gets up, as we work on hopefully that fresh air bill and we get our businesses getting their indoor air filtered up, whatever the right way to say that, to good, cleaner air, then we have to be sure that our businesses are able to stay afloat longer. Now in Nevada, we're primarily tourist-based, so even some of our small businesses, even if you're not directly related to that, let's say you go to work in a hotel and now you've lost your job. Well, you can't, and someone else owns a pizza parlor, but you're not buying the pizza. So it has the trickle effect to everyone in the community. So we need to be able to do that. And so it's just really important that we focus on some of the needs. We have a lot of food insecurity. We need to be sure that we keep up our ways to help our kids stay in school as we reopen school safely. And I think that they're going to continue. Hopefully the kids, if we get them all broadband and what they need, there'll be good ways to increase their education. That's really important. Telehealth, I don't have to tell you how important that's been for everybody right now. We're hopefully going to keep that. A lot of new businesses starting up because of telemedicine, telework, tourism, and even retail, shopping, all of that. You want to sell your things online. And so there's a lot in there, and we're just going to keep plugging away to make sure that it, I always say I want legislation to be timely, targeted, and thoughtful, because that's where it really makes a difference for people. I say, oh, here's like all this money, but I don't put it where it's needed, then I don't want it to just lay fallow or not go where the needs are the most. So you'll see us working on that over the next month or so. I think that we're hoping to pass the next package sometime in early March. I can't believe it's February already, to be honest. We're ready into 2021. Where's it going? 2020, what happened to that year? We want to get rid of that one altogether. And this one seems to be moving fast already.
Indeed, absolutely. Thank you so much, Senator, for that. Moving on to something that we just alluded to moments ago is what's happening to Nevada's workforce. Unemployment levels remain high, though we have made some strides in adding back jobs in the last months. One concerning number is the workforce participation rate and the fact that has recently fallen below 60%. And I'm not sure the history behind that particular statistic, but I know that is a recent finding, and it's somewhat alarming. So I'm curious to hear from you, what you see coming down the pike in terms of any kind of federal intervention or legislation to help get Nevadans back to work.
Well, like I said, I don't have to tell any of you that COVID-19, it really hit Nevada. I think there's only one state harder hit than we are, which is Hawaii. And so this is not, I don't know if that makes us the top or the bottom of the list, but whichever way you decide to look at second one of the highest, hardest hit, or the 49th of the last one to come back. Either way, it's just not good for us. So we have to be sure, we were in a stable condition before COVID happened. So like I said, we have to be sure that we can keep people going during this time till the other parts of our world are safe to go back to, like I said, with the vaccine, fresh air, and all of that. I've introduced a few bills, but hire student vets. We're going to do some things. We have over 225,000 veterans in Nevada. And so veterans who might be going to school, we want to give them some opportunities for internships. Some veterans are typically older, may have families, and they need more. They can't afford to take a free internship, but they want to, when they graduate, have some work experience, or hire student vets. One that's really important is the Advanced Manufacturing Jobs Act, and especially in Northern Nevada, where there's high tech in a lot of jobs. And that doesn't mean high tech that you have to be a computer programmer like I was. If you're a welder, if you're a plumber, they're using a lot of, I saw something at I think it was the carpenters. Welding is very high tech now with computers, and it's actually very cool. They told me I could go try it. I'm afraid I might burn the place down, but there's a lot of high tech with so many jobs, whether they're labor jobs or other types of jobs. And of course, Northern Nevada, lots of tech jobs, tech companies just moving in general. So the Advanced Manufacturing Jobs helps provide for that kind of education. And when I've been talking to folks, I was talking to someone today who is working in the computer space, manufacturing of semiconductor chips and all those kinds of things. And they said they need everyone from this skilled labor all the way up to the people who do the designing, which might be an engineer. And so I said to them, I said, could you provide to me a template of the kinds of workforce you need, whether they're certificate, 2-year degree, 4-year, whatever they are, so that I can, this is where the targeted comes in, so that I meaning us here in the government, can say, let's put in grants or scholarships or partnerships to create these kinds of educational opportunities. So when a company wants to come, let's say to Nevada, I've got a Nevada workforce that's ready for them. Some of them might be in junior high and high school. Some of them might be for people who want to do something different or advance in their current job. And so every person who talks to me on the business side, I'm asking them, what kind of requirements do you need? So we can put the money in the targeted kinds of education across the spectrum. Healthcare, another one. You need people to help take the x-rays, take your blood, help with breathing treatment. I mean, you think about pharmacy tech, you go to the drugstore, there's techs that help the pharmacists. You need all of that. Good paying jobs. They're going to be here. So we have to invest in being sure that all of those jobs can be filled. And it's not just a doctor or a nurse. Like I said, you need the pharmacy tech, the x-ray tech, the person who does an ultrasound or this and that. I mean, you go to a hospital, there's a zillion kinds of jobs. They're good. We need them. Telehealth, there might even be some new jobs created now because we may have someone who goes to visit people who can't come out. They go with the computer. They help an elderly or homebound person Skype in or Zoom in, whatever that is. And but they have to have some medical skills too. So there's a lot of opportunity for that. And those are the kinds of things that I think we can partner with to give. If we know we have a prepared workforce, we can attract those businesses to Nevada saying, I'm going to have the people you need. And that's very important. It has to happen together. Otherwise, they say, well, we'd love to come, but you don't have any people trained. So we want to work on that concurrently, not consecutively.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. I know that, so much of what your office is working on, has to do not only with relief, but building resiliency and passing legislation. I believe the one you're referencing was Senate Bill 121 that had to do with advanced manufacturing. That's exactly what we need. And so I would, it goes without saying, but I'm offering the chamber as a resource and an ally to whatever your efforts may be in implementing legislation of that nature to help build that resiliency in our economy, to see strides made in workforce diversification and upskilling. And we know there are folks who, perhaps lost hospitality sector jobs amid the pandemic whose jobs may not return. And so, also a view to those folks who need to be retrained for the new workforce. So thank you for sharing some insight on that.
We're working on a concept called returnships. And so you think about internships, oftentimes you think about young folks getting internships, from college or community college. Well, I have a bill called the STEM Restart Act. This is going to be in STEM jobs, but I think it could go to others called returnships. Now, what's a returnship? Why is it different than an internship? Kind of like when we talked about higher student vets, and I'll talk to any of the women on this call a lot of times, and we know this now with COVID, women are the primary caregivers, oftentimes, not always, but in a family, whether it's taking care of children, whether it's taking care of another family member, maybe even aging parents, like I did when I left my job to take care of my aging parents and in-laws because they needed a lot of care, and I was able to do that. So we want to be able, so that person might be a little bit older, have other kinds of responsibilities that an 18 or 19-year-old might not have if there happened to be community college or an apprenticeship program even, right? And so we want to be able to invest in those, have them paid a decent returnship, and have a place that if you have that gap in your resume because you took time off to take care of a family for some reason, that it's not looked at against you. And so these things would be something that people might go in and out of a workforce and maybe want to be retrained. Maybe you did something before and now you say, geez, I want to be a teacher now. I don't know, whatever that is. In my case, this bill is of course for STEM, but it could point to other things that we give people the opportunities to return to the workforce in different ways because they're maybe at a different point in their life. And I think that will really, really help women. And I think any women on this call know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting how the nature of work through the pandemic has changed so drastically in some ways for the worse. When you look at some of these sweeping statistics about unemployment rates and how many jobs and what kinds of jobs are going away and not to return. But on the flip side, we've seen a lot of innovative ways to enable the workforce to continue and to grow and to change. That includes telework, remote work, and that opens a whole slew of new doors for some folks. But again, I think, and to your point, the linchpin really is education. And so it sounds like in terms of targeted activity, the educational piece, getting folks into certificate programs, 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees. That's a huge part of the puzzle.
And even training in hospitality, because I'll tell you, it's been a year since I've been indoors in a restaurant, and there's nothing more that I want to go back in when, you know, everyone gets their vaccine, back into a restaurant, drinking coffee, going out with friends, doing that. I know everybody feels the same, and I want our restaurants and all of our wonderful small businesses that I like to shop at. It's not the same for me shopping online. I like to see it, and I want to be sure that we're ready to support that too.
Absolutely. So, Senator, I want to be mindful of your time. Do you have time for one final question?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
wonderful, excellent. So we'll keep it more focused on the big picture,
Uh-huh,
you know, in order to kind of keep us moving forward.
uh-huh.
So what are some of your other legislative priorities? I know you described a couple efforts that you're centered on right now, but what other things should Nevadans in particular be looking for in terms of the work that you're going to set out to do this year?
Well, I'm glad you ended with that, because I am very proud to have, when I was in the House, to be listed one of the most bipartisan freshmen there, and my first 2 years in the Senate, exactly the same. The bills that I introduced, well over 30 bills and letters that I wrote and led, over 90% bipartisan, and the hundreds and hundreds of other things that I co-sponsor. There are other people's bills that I'm on, majority of those bipartisan as well. But I now have the distinction of being the only Democratic senator to serve on 6 committees. Most people have 4, some of them have 5, and I got 6, and I'm not complaining because they're fantastic for Nevada. First one, commerce, science, and transportation. Commerce, this is what I don't have to tell you, so what we're talking about. Science, of course, that's all the STEM and cybersecurity, transportation, you know, commerce, science, I mean, broadband, all of that's in that committee. Tremendous committee. I'm hoping to do some travel and tourism, really good work there to try to get our hospitality industry, not just in Nevada, but of course across the country, back in shape. I'm on the health, education, labor, and pensions. That goes without saying what that is. Health, education, labor, really important. I am on the Homeland Security and Government Affairs. Homeland Security, increasingly important, not just when you talk about immigration, where a lot of people think of that, but now with domestic terrorism being on the rise in our communities. That's something that we're going to work on there. Post office, we get to work on that there. We got to get our post office back up to speed. Some of those things. Small business and entrepreneurship, you know what I'm doing there. And I've just added armed services. I don't have to tell anyone the assets that we have in Nevada, from Fallon and Hawthorne and Creech and Nellis and the test and training range, all of those things. Plus our veterans, who are, anyone active duty becomes a veteran one day, right? And so really important. And then I'm on that special committee on aging, where many of us, we hope that we live longer and better, and we want to age in place. And so being thoughtful about how we do that just continues to go forward. So I have something in each committee that I'm going to work on: travel, tourism, cyber, education, of course, affordable quality healthcare across the board. And I've got a great team. We're going to add a few more folks to it, because now I have 6 committees, and I'm excited, because I think we're going to get good work done as we navigate through the pandemic. I'm actually excited about what I think we're going to be able to do. We see the need, and I want to address it in the best way that we can. I want to see us come roaring back, and that's what I'm going to invest in.
Absolutely. Senator, thank you. You are a hardworking person, and even committee assignments aside, we know that you're working hard for all of us here. And so thank you to you. Thank you to your team. I appreciate all of your staffers who are also on the call today, who of course have offered themselves up to our members to help advocate for them and get their stories told. And to your point, turning their stories and their experiences into meaningful legislation that is thoughtful, targeted, and timely, I believe.
That's right. Good. That's exactly right. And I'll tell you, my team, they're so fantastic. They are there for you. They help me do my job every day. If we don't know the answer, we'll find somebody who does. If you know people, not even in small business, I'll just give this last plug. We do a lot of other things. So if you know someone that's in need right now with COVID, different areas, whether it's Social Security or disability or veterans or just food insecurity, whatever it is, we're all parts of communities. We all have our friends and our neighbors. People are struggling with different things. If you know someone in need, if you know someone that needs help, even if it's maybe not a federal issue, but we might say, well, call this office or that, like we might be able to connect them. I see myself as a connector. My team's tremendous at that. We'll try to find you the right person to talk to. So no one needs to suffer alone. I'll just leave you with this last story that shows you what one person can do. I had somebody, we answer our phones. And so I had a young staff assistant, just recently graduated college, and he answered the phone early on in the pandemic, and a woman called very upset, and she was homebound for different reasons. And she said, on my last can of beans, I don't know where to go. I don't know how she found our number, but I feel like it was a miracle. I don't know where. She was just really distraught and crying. I have one can of beans. I can't get out. I'm just going to die if I'm here. And my young staff were about 21 years old or so, answered the call. He got her set up with Meals on Wheels, food, all the different things that are happening. And literally he saw, because he picked up the phone and he knew who to call, which charity, which this or that, he got her set up and he changed her life. And so it seems small, but I don't think he'll ever forget it. I tell that story because we don't know who's in need, and sometimes answering that call and just connecting her with the person to get food delivered saved her life. And so it's not always this giant piece of legislation where we make a difference. Sometimes it's just one person. And I leave you with that because we can all make a difference in the community that way. And call us, we're here. And hopefully I'll see you all in person soon.
Absolutely. Senator, again, thank you so much for taking time, for sharing your views and sharing all of your hard work. We very much appreciate you. And again, please reach out to us if there's anything we can do to help move any of these causes forward. So thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who joined us today on the call, and we wish everyone a good day.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.